This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello everyone, this is Fox 12 Now. Thanks for joining us. We are live here out of the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. Right after our new news, as we are every weekday, there is a look at our Shriners camera of downtown Portland. And off in the distance there, you can see the Moda Center. And that is a topic of discussion here as we start today's show. We'll have a lot of coverage here throughout the afternoon. Again, I'm Greg Nibbler, and we appreciate you joining us. But right now, we want to take you live to the House Legislature in the Capitol right now, where they are debating the bill that would provide funding for renovating the Moda Center and essentially, by virtue of that, keeping the Trailblazers here for a number of years. There's a lot that goes into this, but they are debating it currently. This bill has already passed the Senate. Now it's on to the House. If it passes the House, it will go to the governor, and the governor has indicated that she will sign this. But let's go ahead and pull up right now and see what they're saying as we head towards a vote, and we'll listen into this live.
And we can't even talk about a tax on revenue while we send a similar amount of money out the door to a sports arena. I don't know how I vote for this bill. I'm not going to get steamrolled on hundreds of millions of dollars, a discussion of hundreds of millions of dollars, and then turn around and send that money to an arena. I can't do it. This isn't about one bill. It's about the big picture. That picture is extremely blurry to me at this point. I understand why we need this, so I'm not going to urge you all to vote no, but I cannot vote for this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Further discussion? 4 more in the queue. Representative Deal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the bill.
To the bill.
Oh, man. I want the Portland Trailblazers to stay in Oregon. The Blazers are an important part of the state's culture, not just Portland, but the entire state and our identity. And maintaining a competitive arena in Portland is a legitimate policy goal. But you can love the Trailblazers and still vote no on this bill. And I've heard from a lot of those folks, some folks who live in the Portland area, some people who have businesses around the Moda Center, and some people who live quite a ways away from Portland. Supporting the Blazers and protecting taxpayers are not mutually exclusive. We can do both. And the process we use to make decisions of this magnitude matters. Senate Bill 1501B asks the legislature to authorize a major financing structure before we even know the full terms of the deal being negotiated. I just don't think that's a good idea. That should give us all pause. This bill expresses the legislature's intent to authorize $365 million in state borrowing to renovate the center. But the real cost to taxpayers isn't $365 million. Once interest is included, total repayment is likely to reach somewhere in the range of $530 to $620 million over the life of the bonds. That means Oregon taxpayers could be committing $165 million to $255 million in interest payments alone, with an annual debt service in the range of $30 to $40 million per year for 2 decades or more. And that's just the state's portion. Senate Bill 1501 also requires the City of Portland and Multnomah County to make binding and substantial financial commitments before the financing can proceed. While the bill does not specify the amount, those local contributions, combined with the state's debt repayment, could bring the total public commitment for this thing closer to $1 billion once infrastructure, site improvement, and other public investments are included. That's a huge investment. And I'm not necessarily opposed to the state investing in this, but before committing taxpayers to a financial obligation of this scale, we should know exactly what we're getting in return. We should know what private investment the team will contribute, whether the public will receive rent or revenue sharing, what protections exist if the team relocates, and how development around the arena will benefit the public. Across the country, many successful arena projects have followed a different model. Negotiate the full deal first, then bring the complete agreement to the legislature for approval. That approach gives lawmakers and taxpayers transparency and the ability to evaluate the entire package before committing public resources. This bill flips that sequence on its head. It authorizes the financing framework first, while the details of the deal remain unknown. And I know there's guardrails in here, but once we agree to this financing model, it puts us in a more difficult negotiating position on this deal. It does. Colleagues, we're talking about a commitment that could exceed $500 million in state repayment and approach $1 billion in total public investment when local contributions are included. And I just firmly believe before making a commitment of that magnitude, we should do what responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars always do. Negotiate the deal first, examine the full terms, and then decide whether the investment makes sense. We have the time to do this the right way, with an approach that protects taxpayers, preserves transparency, and ensures that the legislature is voting on a complete proposal rather than an unfinished framework. You know, maybe the easy thing for me to do here is vote yes, but I'm not here to do the easy thing. I'm here to do what's right. And let me end with this. It sounds like we're negotiating out of desperation and fear. And I don't view things that way. We're Oregon. We have a proud history with incredible people and a bright future. Let's get this deal right to protect taxpayers and strengthen communities and keep the trailblazers here. We can do this. Right now, we're playing not to lose. I play to win.
Excuse
And
me,
that's what Oregon
Representative,
should be doing
I'm
right
looking
now.
for someone who hasn't spoken that will yield. Representative Juncker yields his time. Please go ahead.
I said, right now it feels like we're playing not to lose, and I play to win. And that's what Oregon should be doing right now. And I'll be meeting with the Portland Metro Chamber in the near future, and I hope to discuss better private-public approaches with them on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. I do apologize for the interruption. Further discussion, Representative Scarlatos.
Speaker, to the bill.
To the bill.
I'm getting hungry, so I'll try to be brief. I haven't heard anything said today that I actually disagree with. I think everyone is more or less correct, coming at it from different angles. I'm sorry the representative from Beaverton and Aloha feels like she got rolled. It must be terrible to spend one day feeling like a Republican in this state. I just wanted to say that this is, I completely disagree with how this money is being spent. I disagree with where it's coming from. However, I'm going to be the most reluctant yes possible, only because I think that if we don't spend the money at this long shot of economic development, that we'll probably find something even more goofy to spend it on. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Further discussion, second time in the queue, Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the bill.
To the bill.
Just very briefly, colleagues, I need to stand corrected. I understand the bonds are 20 years and matching the 20-year lease agreement. I'd ask for your forgiveness. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Further discussion, again, second time in the queue, Representative Scharf.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the bill?
To the bill.
I'll make this very, very brief. I wanted to thank my colleague from the Land of Food and Shelter in House District 57 for his questions. They prompted me to think about one other question that I'd like to ask, and that is, who or will anyone be given the naming rights to the Moda Center? The Portland Trailblazers went for many, many years without naming rights to the Rose Garden, the Rose Arena, whatever you want to call it. And in 2013, they actually sold for $40 million the naming rights to Moda. Now, that deal expired 3 years ago. That $40 million went to the Trailblazers, not into the arena, not into the building, not for upkeep, maintenance, deferred maintenance, whatever you want to call it, went to the Trailblazers franchise. And that expired 3 years ago. So are we going to take the sign down and put, thank you, Senate and House? Thank you, Oregon Legislature. Is it going to be the Oregon Legislature Arena? Because all of the other places that I told you about that our Secretary of State pointed out all have corporate sponsorships with the corporate name on the outside of the building. So maybe we can recoup a little bit of money and we can sell it to XYZ company that hasn't already left our state. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Is there further discussion? But wait, there's more. Representative Bowman, since there's no one left who hasn't spoken, would you like to close? He would.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, before I speak directly about the bill in front of us today, about a facility in Portland, I want to reflect on something that happened yesterday that I think is relevant to this conversation. Yesterday, I got a little bit emotional watching an unathletic liberal Democrat from Southeast Portland link arms with a conservative Republican from the Oregon coast to try to save a rural hospital that was in trouble. And on his last carry ever in this building, that rural Republican succeeded for his community. And I think when that Republican goes home to his district, he'll tell his constituents that he couldn't have done it without an assist from a man who lives 200 miles away. And I think that the Democrat from Portland will go home and tell his constituents that the most meaningful thing he did this session was try to save a hospital down in Coos County. I hope that even the people who voted against that bill can see the beauty in that. I was smiling about it all night last night because it's exactly what I love about this place and why I believe in the institution of the Oregon legislature. We can do things differently here. We can still come together as one state. Today's vote is a different kind of opportunity, but not too different. That was for a hospital. This is for an arena. People are not going to go to the Moda Center for life-saving care, but working at and around the Moda Center puts food on the table for thousands of people. It's more than an arena to the people and communities whose livelihoods depend on it. Yes, the price tag today is larger, and yes, the economic impact is larger too, but there are some parallels. The Moda Center is about as far from Coos Bay as the Bay Area Hospital is from Southeast Portland. There are legislators on this floor who don't love this bill, just like there were some legislators who didn't love that bill from yesterday. There are some legislators who wish the details of this bill looked a little bit different. I understand that. But as the representative from Monmouth said yesterday, this is the bill in front of us. This is our choice. Green button or red button. We've all watched Portland struggle for the last few years, and while there is still work to do to improve our state's largest city, it is turning around. I believe that. And now is not a time that Portland can afford to lose the Portland Trailblazers. We can't afford to watch jobs disappear and businesses close. We can't afford to be Seattle in 2008 watching the Supersonics head east to Oklahoma City. 18 years later, and they are still waiting and hoping for another chance. And moreover, now is not a time that we can turn our back on the incredible work happening in Lower Albina. This is a moment where our friends from Portland need us to step up for them. So I thank my colleagues from rural Oregon and suburban Oregon, both red and blue, for their consideration of this bill. I'm voting for this bill not just for the Blazers, not just for the Moda Center, but because I believe in Oregon, and I believe that the fate of each of our communities is tied together, and I believe that this is an opportunity for us to come together once again. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Representative. Before we proceed, I want to welcome more students from the Horizon Christian Elementary School sitting in the back. Welcome to your capital today. We're about to vote on a proposal regarding the Moda Center. Representative Bowman has completed his close. So those of the opinion that the bill should pass will vote aye. Those opposed, no. The clerk will open the voting system. Representative Wright, your vote? Votes aye. And Senate Bill 1501, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Colleagues, I know the hour is late because of the length of that debate. We're going to move around a little bit right now. Some of you were expecting to carry some concurrence motions, but the Speaker requests unanimous consent to suspend the rules to temporarily advance to the order of business of third reading of House bills. Is there any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you. We have several House bills that we need to get over to the Senate before we recess. I will ask the clerk to read the first bill.
House Bill 5203, relating to state financial administration, declare an emergency.
The question now rises on third reading and final passage of House Bill 5203. Representative Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 5203 is the omnibus fee ratification bill for the 2026 legislative session. Under ORS 291.055, new or increased fees adopted by rule by state agencies during the interim period between legislative sessions require administrative approval by the Department of Administrative Services and then must be ratified by the Legislative Assembly to remain in effect after the legislative session adjourns sine die. This measure provides the enabling legislation necessary to adopt fees to approve fees adopted through administrative rule by state agencies. 6 agencies established fees related to SB 1552, which passed in 2024. SB 1552 allows individuals to petition licensing boards for the determination as to whether a criminal conviction would preclude them from receiving an occupational license and permits agencies to establish a fee for processing petitions. The measure modifies and establishes fee changes by the Oregon Health Authority for the Psilocybin Services Program, the Art Therapy Program, and the Healthcare Workforce Database. The Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission establishes a fee for hemp product registration amendments, and the Oregon Department of Agriculture modified one fee to align with federal rates. The Oregon Medical Board established initial and renewal registration fees related to the 5-needle protocol technician registry, as authorized under House Bill 2143 from the 2025 legislative session. The measure establishes and modifies multiple fees for the removal fill regulatory program within the Department of State Lands as authorized under House Bill 2238 from the 2023 legislative session. One fee was established and multiple fees are increased by the Oregon Board of Naturopathic Medicine to maintain sufficient operating reserves. The Joint Committee on Ways and Means recommends approval of House Bill 5203.
Thank you, Representative. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, Representative Sanchez, you wish to close? She does not. Those are the opinion the bill should pass, so vote aye. Those opposed, no. The clerk will open the voting system. Representative Dobson, your vote? Votes no. Representative Harbeck, your vote? Votes no. House Bill 5203, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 5204, relating to state financial administration, declare an emergency.
Question now rises on third reading and final passage of House Bill 5204. Again, Representative Sanchez.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, House Bill 5204 is the Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Bill for the 2026 legislative session. The measure modifies state agencies' 2025-27 legislative.
All right, we're going to go ahead and dip in this because it looks like they're heading to some other bills. But as you could see there, House Bill 1501 did pass, and that is in relation to funding for the Moda Center, for Moda Center renovations, and in parts to keep the trailblazers in the state of Oregon. So we're going to talk about this a little bit more and break down what this means. I'll go through some of the specifics of this. We do need to take a quick break, so we're going to do that. This is Fox 12 Now. We're live streaming here out of the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, and the Oregon legislature rapidly going through a number of bills because their session is coming to a close very quickly here over the next couple of days. But the Moda Center one passing now, moving on to the desk of Governor Kotek, who is expected to sign that. So we'll talk a little bit more about it here after this break, and we'll be back with you then. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.